Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's special free webinar to introduce the City of Toronto's Development Review Division, rather. My name is Richard Joy, Executive Director of ULI Toronto. Many of you are regular attendees of our lunchtime webinars, but today we have many who may be new to ULI, so we'd like to quickly run our impact video, and I'll come in right after that.
It's the mission of the Urban Land Institute to shape the future of the built environment for transformative impact. That's what we do at ULI Toronto. Our members work in all aspects of land use.
ULI is a catalyst. It's a catalyst for people who in themselves are thought-provoking, are interesting, they're purposeful, they're engaged, and they want to have an impact on the world.
The Toronto region is definitely a stronger, more robust place because of the championship role that the Urban Land Institute Toronto has played in elevating the status of women in the industry.
Our industry has a responsibility to meaningfully contribute to the social fabric of our communities and to be a climate change leader.
In Toronto, ULI helps deliver climate change and resiliency that is equitable and valuable.
ULI Toronto help mid-career professionals reach the next stage of their careers as city builders.
ULI Toronto is an entry point and a launching pad for our next generation of leaders to find their place in this very complex industry.
ULI Toronto brings global best practices to our city and shows our city's innovations to the world of real estate.
ULI creates really good conversations about important public policy subjects for our members.
It brings leading developers across our city together to wrestle with the crisis of affordability. We need solutions for our industry, tenants, and new home buyers alike.
The ULI network is incredibly effective in bringing in key stakeholders to build solutions to support Black communities.
I'm proud to work alongside ULI in seeking to accelerate accessibility and ensure that our built environments meet everyone's needs for access.
ULI Toronto is well positioned to help the real estate and development industry identify opportunities to meet a generational need to advance truth, justice, and reconciliation. ULI demonstrates the unique power in leveraging the built environment, whether that's private real estate development or public infrastructure, for the benefit of a more competitive and equitable city.
I am so excited as ULI Chair to celebrate these positive solutions that our real estate development community has brought forward for Toronto.
At ULI Toronto, we connect, we inspire, and we lead.
Hello again. My name is Richard Joy, Executive Director of ULI Toronto, and welcome to today's special webinar introducing Toronto's Development Review Division. Before we begin, as always, we acknowledge that the land that we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabeg, the Chippewa, and the Haudenosaunee and Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. And finally, we acknowledge and honor those who've arrived here involuntarily, particularly descendants of enslaved peoples. Over the many years, ULI has developed an online resource page rich with information relating to DEI, Black history, and truth and reconciliation as it relates to our industry. And those links will be added into the chat, and we encourage you to look at them. I'm especially pleased to advise that many of you will know that we released last June the much anticipated formal release of the ULI Toronto and Shared Path organization, answering the call to Action 92. This is Canada's first guide to truth and reconciliation for the real estate and development industry. And we very much encourage you, both at an individual and company level, to have a look at this guide. Further, on October 17th, we are hosting once again an Indigenous cultural competency training and learning session that if any of you have not taken this opportunity, we strongly encourage this as a foundation to understanding truth and reconciliation, how we can apply it into our practices. Lastly, and quickly, in case you're not aware, that ULI Toronto is also the proud secretariat of a fast-growing coalition of companies and organizations who are members of the award-winning, I can explain that, Accelerating Accessibility Coalition. It's a coalition of companies and organizations that are pushing past slow-moving public policy to build a truly universally accessible city. With over 85 companies and organizations signed on to date, as we approach the third anniversary of this initiative, we are looking to grow it to 100 by the end of this year. Perhaps your company could join us. Details of that will also be in the chat. So without further ado, it is now my pleasure to turn the reins over to Valesa Faria, Executive Director of Development Review, who's driving housing innovation, planning reform, and people-centered growth. Valesa is the first person to lead this position at City Hall and has fast proven herself to be a pioneer in the facilitation of faster, smoother, and more accountable development approval system. And so we are not surprised that she proposed that ULI Toronto host this afternoon's session to further advance this municipal leadership. We're also not surprised that Jag Sharma, the Deputy City Manager of Development and Growth Services, wanted to say a few words as well. And this is not the first time Jag's been on our platform talking about the reforms of how the city is moving further and further into a very customer-focused kind of mindset. That is something that has very much been acknowledged and with great appreciation by the industry. So Jag, over to you, and then you'll bring in Valesa.
Thank you so much, Richard. And just building off of what you've said, and it's great to be with everyone this afternoon. Development and Growth Services is only, I'll say, just a little over 2 years old. So a very young service area, and Development Review Division even younger. And in that very short time, they've had a tremendous amount of impact. Valesa and I spent a lot of time talking about my 2 key priorities, which is service excellence and redefining the reputation of how it is to work with the City of Toronto from a development perspective. And we use tools like Lean Six Sigma. And what I'm pleased to say is under Valesa's leadership and with this team, they are leading Development and Growth Services and making sure that we are advancing that service excellence mantra, as well as using the right tools to redefine our relationship. So I'm very proud of this team. And I'm going to hand it right over to Valesa because I know you want to hear from her and her great expert team. Thank you.
Thank you, Jag, and good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here today. As mentioned, I'm Valesa Faria, Executive Director of Development Review here at the City of Toronto, and I'm joined by my team, who I will be introducing a bit later. But before we begin, I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank all of you for spending your lunch with us. It is very much appreciated. We want to make ourselves in Development Review accessible, and we want you to know who we are. So that is the purpose of today's meeting or webinar with you. I'll just ask the team to go to the next slide, please. So Development Review, as Jag mentioned, we are new. We were set up in 2014 by city leadership with a clear mandate, which is to expedite the review of all development applications that come into the city, with the purpose of getting more affordable homes within complete communities built faster. So it's no secret, like most global cities, Toronto is facing a myriad of crises. We have a growing housing crisis. We're dealing with a climate crisis. There's a general affordability crisis. And now there's economic uncertainty that's being brought on by tariffs and other macroeconomic factors. In addition to that, the City of Toronto receives over 450 new development applications per year and 1,200 resubmissions. So if you think about that, it's a lot. While there are challenges, it means that growth is accelerating in Toronto, and so must the systems that shape it. So as part of the Development Review team or division that was established in 2014, the city brought together a number of multidisciplinary teams that were previously in other divisions into one new division. So that includes our community planning teams, engineers, project managers, policy staff, and others. Bringing this multidisciplinary team together means that we can work better to break down silos within the city government. We take a very solutions-oriented approach to dealing with applications, and we are focused on prioritizing investments and initiatives that will continue to build capacity, training, technology, quality assurance, and ultimately help position our staff and our teams to help Toronto to continue to play a leadership role on the world-class stage. Next slide, please. So just being over a year old, we've done a lot. In 2024, we've built, as I mentioned, a multidisciplinary team of over 400 staff. In 2024, we had a great year for approvals. We approved over 52,000 new residential units in the city. We introduced 50+ technology enhancements to our back-end technology tools and also front-facing technology tools to continue to modernize the way we operate. We earned recognition for our improved service delivery, and we have improved the condominium application process, which you'll hear about a bit later in this presentation. Next slide, please. So this slide is the city's organizational charts. You will see the green box is the development and growth service area. So that's under our deputy city manager, Jag Sharma, who has been, I would say, critical in the success of development review. Under Jag's leadership team is myself in development review, of course, plus Jason Thorne in city planning, Doug Rollins in the housing secretariat, Kamal Gagna in Toronto buildings, and Hugh Clark, who just joined us to head up a new housing development office. And what that means is the city is taking a very coordinated and cohesive approach to how we not only plan growth, but implement the solutions to realize the growth in a meaningful way. Next slide, please. So transforming the way we work. This is a rolled up version of my team here in development review. So the division is arranged in 3 big buckets. The first being development review implementation, which is community planning, engineering review, and our priority development review stream. We're also focused on continuous improvement and enhancing our technology. And that is under our green development process and performance buckets, where we have process and technology, as well as strategy and client relations. Because as Jag mentioned, we are very focused on customer service excellence and continuing to make local governments more accessible. Our next bucket is my office, because we are a large division. We are continuing to make culture change here at the city, and that requires a concerted effort for change management and strategic support. And we also have business operations where we manage the very important financial aspects of our business, like our budgets, our revenues, and our expenses, of course. Next slide. So this slide, very exciting. This is my community planning team, who I will introduce quickly, and you will get a chance to meet them. By no means are they strangers to most of you who are on the call today, but I will start with introducing Oren Tamara, who is the Director of Community Planning in the Toronto East York North District. Second is Carly Bowman, who is the Director of Community Planning for TEY South, so that includes the waterfront. Then we have Alex Teixeira, who is not new to the city, but fairly new in his role as the Director of Community Planning, heading up our Etobicoke York District. Then in North York, we have David Sitt. And in Scarborough, we have Christian Ventresca. So this community planning team leads the review of development applications and localized planning projects to ensure that they not only reflect good planning, but of course contribute to complete communities and build a city where everyone can thrive, irrespective of incomes, of ethnicities, and other important factors. Next slide, please. So in addition to community planning, this team helps us to really advance applications and break down the technical silos, as I like to say internally here. So on the left is my engineering review team, which leads the review of plans and reports that are submitted to support development applications. And they ensure that, of course, we are meeting applicable legislation, policies, standards, criteria, as well as ensuring that we work closely with our colleagues in Toronto Water and Transportation Services, as well as engineering and construction services. So I will introduce now Nat Nguyen, who is our Director of Engineering Review, and Maria Iliak, who is our Director of Engineering Review. And sorry, I should have said Nat oversees our North York, our Etobicoke and Toronto East York districts, and Maria provides engineering leadership for our Scarborough and North York districts. So in addition to these folks, I have Dennis Braun joining us. He leads our Priority Development Review stream here at the city. And the Priority Development Review stream provides projects, I call it project management excellence. So this group works across all districts and with all of the leaders that I just introduced, and really helps us to manage key priority projects, including affordable housing projects that deliver significant affordability. Dennis and his team are also focused on helping us with special projects like new city shelters, student housing projects, as well as long-term care residents. Next slide. And this is the backbone support team that helps me make all of this possible. So to the left is Michelle Driley, who heads up our development process and technology team. And this team really helps us to make sure that our standard operating procedures reflect legislative changes, respond to, I would say, quickly changing legislative landscapes, as well as macroeconomic issues. Michelle and her team not only help with standardizing our operating procedures, but they help us to ensure that the technology tools that we use are programmed or are updated in real time to support those standard operating procedure changes. And then we have Allison Power with us, who is our Director of Strategy and Client Relations. Allison leads our quality assurance and strategic partnerships part of the business by facilitating communication and collaboration across all subject matter expert teams that you've met. She's also focused on working closely with our external partners. Many of you probably have met Allison, although she's only been with us for about 6 months. And this team really ensures that the changes that we make, the standard operating procedures that we continue to implement, are resonating with you and are helping to advance projects more quickly at the city. Then, in addition to this team, the final group that works very closely with me, next slide, please, is our review support teams. So there's Mary Bagnulo, who's our manager of program planning and strategic initiatives. Mary helps us with the very critical aspects of running our business, like procurement, budgets, financial management, internal HR functions. And then we have Alex McDonough, who is our project director leading business transformation and internal change management with our staff, so that we ensure we're able to support you and to support the changes that we're making as a division. Next slide, please. So in order to be successful in the development review division, we work very closely across all divisions here at the city. And this slide shows some of the key divisions that we work with on a daily basis. And that includes, of course, our colleagues in city planning, in particular, urban design, heritage, and heritage planning. We also work with Toronto Water, engineering and construction services, parks development, legal services, Toronto Building, housing secretariat, housing development office. And together we ensure that we're working seamlessly so that when you come to the city, you have one city voice in the response that you get, and in the approach that we take in providing local municipal services to you. Next slide, please. So we will now introduce our 2025 to 2028 Development Review Strategic Plan. This is a brand new plan that was just launched about 3 months ago. This is the roadmap that will guide the work that we do as a division over the next 3 years and help us to make sure that our service continues to evolve so that it's responsive, it's reflective of our rapidly changing legislative and macroeconomic environments. And this is the plan that also helps us to ensure that our staff are supported in everything that we do. So the plan has 4 pillars, which we'll get into. But without further ado, I will introduce Alex McDonough, who will take us through the key aspects of our strategic plan.
Thanks, Vanessa. Hi, everyone. Alex McDonough. So this plan was developed with input from over 300 staff and other stakeholders, and it's really the first of its kind to be exclusively focused on modernizing the development review process, which everyone here understands that is a critical lever in addressing the housing crisis. The plan sets out the overall direction and priorities for the division, and it really serves as a roadmap to guide our staff and to support organizational decision-making. It provides clarity and an alignment and allows our teams to really focus our energy on what matters most. Next slide, please. So the foundation for the next 3 years really is the vision and the mission, and they articulate what we're collectively working towards as a division. Our vision is to shape development in Toronto for current and future generations to thrive. And our mission is to advance world-class city building by delivering a development review service that's innovative, collaborative, customer-focused, transparent, and efficient. Next slide, please. So these are our values. They're really the heart of the strategic plan, and these values were developed through lots of collaboration with our staff and with the leadership team. And all of the work that we do is grounded in these values. Collaboration and partnership, this is both internal and external, really to drive the best possible city building outcomes for the city. Continuous learning and improvement. This value is about supporting our staff and making sure that they're equipped to respond to the ever-changing environment that we all work in. Customer service, we're committed to working with both internal and external clients to deliver a respectful, timely, responsive, transparent, and solution-oriented service. Diversity, equity, reconciliation, and inclusion. This is our commitment to fostering a culture of respect that embraces the diversity of our teams, advances equity and reconciliation, ensures an inclusion and accessibility for all. Leadership, innovation, and creativity. So obviously, in order to deliver a world-class development review service, we really need to be innovators, we need to be leaders, and we need to be creative problem solvers. And finally, transparency and accountability. So this is about using data and evidence and ensuring that our communications are clear, consistent, and compelling, both internally and externally. And taken together, these values really define how we show up every day at work, how we lead, and how we support each other in the work that we do. And they're also reflected in all of the plan's key priorities and actions. Christian, over to you.
Thanks, Alex. So our 4 strategic priorities, if I could get the next slide, please, are naturally interconnected with both the values and with each other. So the successful delivery of each priority supports the delivery of another one and allows us to make accelerated progress towards achieving our vision. So as a newly formed division, initial investment in people and partnerships builds internal capacity and ensures alignment that will drive our ability to realize this ambitious goal. And as we build more efficient processes in collaboration with industry and across government, we'll intentionally center equity and reconciliation in all we do. The second priority, a consistent and predictable development review service builds trust, right, amongst all who engage with it. So we'll continue to standardize review processes through strengthened staff collaboration, as I mentioned, in the first priority, while also improving analytics to better monitor progress and resolve issues proactively. Efficient and clear expectations of processes will reduce delays and deliver more consistent and transparent outcomes. We believe the tools we use should match the scale, urgency, and complexity of the work that we do. And in this fast-paced development environment, modern digital tools and systems are essential. Now, we acknowledge we have some catching up to do here, both with the industry and with the world, but leveraging new tools will free up staff time through improved workflows and back-house function, but will also be seen in front-facing improvements with how stakeholders submit, review, or access information across our various platforms. And then finally, as a public-facing division, we have a responsibility to clearly communicate how decisions are made, to track and share our progress, and to create meaningful space for input from people and communities that we service. So this will include establishing clear performance targets, enhancing our public reporting, while also investing in client satisfaction through regular surveys and improving our public consultation process. Over to Allison.
Apologies. As I was saying, with our new strategic plan now in place, we're really excited to be shifting our focus to implementation and turning our vision into real measurable results. We're working on creating a detailed roadmap that's going to show how we plan to deliver on these ambitious goals, track our progress, and most importantly, keep everyone informed how we're doing that. So some of the nearest term priority initiatives include a new customer service charter, which I'll speak to on the next slide. We're also working on improving the site plan approval process, which we'll also speak to shortly. As well, I think it was mentioned earlier, Committee of Adjustment will be moving to this division early next year, at which time we'll begin doing the same for the minor variance process. Another key thing that we're working on is an updated and kind of more comprehensive performance measurement framework that aligns with and reflects our new division and our strategic plan, and making sure that we're going to have strong key performance indicators in place to track how we're doing, and most importantly, sharing that openly with the public. Finally, we're also working on updating our issue resolution model to include clear steps for resolving disputes or delays, including how and when issues can be escalated. Again, those are just a few examples of some of the nearest term priority actions that we're working on to implement the strategic plan. And you'll be hearing more about those in the coming months. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, one of the nearest term deliverables under our strategic plan is going to be the Development Review Customer Service Charter. The origin of this is, again, recognizing the development process can be really high pressure, high stakes for everyone involved. At times, this can lead to tension, and in the worst of times, adversarial relationships. But especially in today's environment, it's more important than ever that we work together. I think everyone on this call knows that. That was one of the reasons the Development Review Division was created. And you've already heard about how well we're doing with that so far in our first year. So this charter is going to be about formalizing that culture of collaboration between our team and the wide range of customers that we serve. It's going to set clear two-way expectations for respectful, proactive problem solving, among many other things. So over the last few months, we've been developing this charter through extensive customer research and focus groups, both internal and external, to better understand pain points from both perspectives. And again, these are pain points that go a long ways back and have kind of accumulated over time. So for example, from applicants, recognizing longstanding concerns about timelines, but inconsistent reviews, communication gaps, or unclear prioritization. Those are just some examples of things we've been talking about. From a staff perspective, some of the challenges with receiving incomplete submissions, sharing accountability for timelines, premature or unnecessary escalations. Again, those are some of the things we're hoping to move forward with the customer service charter. So the plan is for the charter to be finalized and published before the end of the year. And it's going to serve as a foundation for future customer service improvements. So that's things like service standards is something that we're working on. We're going to be launching regular client surveys and then KPI reporting, as I mentioned earlier, to track and share our performance on how we're doing in terms of things like customer satisfaction. So again, together, these efforts will ensure we're meeting our commitments and continuing to build a more predictable, transparent, and collaborative development review process.
Okay, so one of our flagship improvements actually in the past year and a half has been some key changes we've made to our condo process. So this is when you submit a draft plan of condominium application to the city and are seeking to register a condominium project. Our focus really has been on providing a service that is more scoped, sort of fit for the purpose of the application. We've looked to ensure that it's managed by an expert team who's very focused on just condo applications. And we've been able to make this application type a little bit more timely in terms of processing and then also more cost effective. We undertook this work in 2 phases. So beginning in 2024, we first really put a heavy focus on expediting existing applications that were stuck in our system. So we would consider these applications to be backlogged. And through dedicated issues management, we were actually able to reduce that backlog by about 35% in the latter half of 2024. The work was really supported by, like I said, an expert team of community planning staff, and they're now just dedicated to this plan of condominium application review. And so that team comprises 2 community planners in each district, a subject matter expert coordinator who works citywide to ensure consistency across all these applications. And we also have a director lead for plan of condominium, and that is Oren Tamir, who you'll hear from a bit later in the presentation. So phase 2 really kicked in July of this year, and the city has now introduced 2 streams of condo application review. There's a routine stream and a specific stream for what we call technical review. It may surprise people to know that over 90% of plan of condominium applications to the city are actually considered routine. And so the real key change and improvement here is that all routine applications will no longer be circulated to any commenting partners for review. Instead, they will stay with the expert community planning team, and that team will review them and then apply a set of standard conditions, which have been greatly reduced from our previous list of conditions, and they'll only be applied as needed. And the city estimates that this approach is likely to remove about $800,000 of processing cost from our previous process. And you can imagine that that would also relate to a pretty significant savings in time. We've tried as much as possible to pass these savings on to applicants through our updated application fee schedule. And so what you'll see now is that a routine condo application comes with a flat fee of $12,000 per application. We do also receive a very small volume of technical review applications in a given year. And so community planning and that expert team will assess the appropriate commenting partners for a scoped review of those technical review applications. The price of those applications has also come down. And we also anticipate that the review of those technical review stream applications will be faster because the application review will be scoped to appropriate commenting partners. Later on in the presentation, actually, I think maybe he's next. Oren will also talk a little bit about improvements to our site plan application process, and many of those improvements will be based on lessons learned through this work we did on our condo process improvements. So I think I'm turning it over to Oren now.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Great to be here with you. Development Review, we're happy to announce, has launched a review of our site plan review process. Our goal is to streamline the development review process, align with all the new legislative changes around site plan and other associated legislative changes, and to achieve good city building outcomes. As Jag mentioned earlier, we'll be using a Lean Six Sigma approach to comprehensively evaluate the root cause issues, to deliver a streamlined site plan review service that supports timely housing delivery. On our next slide here, you will see the work that is currently being undertaken. This is just some of the work that's being done right now. We are reviewing our exemption bylaw to potentially establish new thresholds to enable more as-of-right development, which may not require site plan review. We'll be introducing streams to the site plan review process to ensure that the level of review reflects the scale and impact of the development project. We also are looking to simplify plans so we can standardize plans and drawings for consistency, to expedite the reviews, and to make approvals clear for downstream users. And finally, today we're going to reveal that we're going to look at eliminating any overlap with downstream processes to streamline and speed up the development review. I know there's been already a question about forestry, and this is one example where we'll be looking at how they interact and interface with our site plan review. So with that, I'll turn it back to our host.
Just to be clear, I think we're expecting City to continue to advance the Q&As at this point, but just want to make sure that we're on the same page.
Richard, yes, the city team is here and we're happy to take any questions.
And I think you guys have been consolidating them, but I'm happy also to jump into the questions myself. If that's easier for you, let me know.
Thanks, Richard. I'll actually read some off and Lessa will address them or throw it over to some of our DLT here. So we'll get started. So the first question coming in is why is economic development excluded from the development review process team?
So I will take that and offer the opportunity for any of my colleagues to augment. But economic development is not part of the core team within development review, but we work very closely with economic development as one of our other partners at the city who review applications that are applicable to them with us. So all that to say, they're not part of the development review division, but we work very closely with economic development review being a reviewer for those application types that require their comments and inputs.
Thank you, Melissa. I'll go to the next question. What qualifies for priority development review?
So our priority development review stream was actually established in 2022 in response to the COVID pandemic, as well as the escalating housing crisis. When the priority development review stream was established, only projects that delivered significant affordable housing, which is 20% or more of the units or GFA as affordable housing, were eligible for that stream. However, earlier this year, a few months ago, actually in July, we took a report to council where we said that we were going to expand the service to include applications that deliver significant economic benefits for the city, recognizing that we need to be responsive to the environment around us. We want to prioritize projects that help create new jobs, that can help drive economic growth. So that has been added. We have also recently added some student housing projects as well as seniors serving projects, which includes long-term care or seniors rental homes. So I will add that the priority development review stream will continue to evolve from time to time to support citywide needs and help us to be as responsive as possible. And they do work very closely with all of the districts and the teams that you see here on the screen.
Thank you, Melissa. Moving down the growing list of questions here. Who do you define as external clients?
I will start, and I encourage the team to join in as well if they would like to add to it. But here in development review, everyone who is not within the city is an external client. So that includes applicants, that includes residents across the city, that includes other orders of government, industry partners, the nonprofit sector, Indigenous sector. We see everyone that we work with as a customer. Our colleagues internally and even within our division, we call internal customers, and everyone else is an external customer to us.
Thank you, Melissa. And the question came in that is related to external clients, so maybe I'll add this. How does development review intend to ensure that external clients, including Hydro One, Metrolinx, et cetera, are fully captured and appropriately consulted?
I will start, and I will ask maybe Oren to jump in here as well. Although those are external agencies to the city, we do see them as review or commenting partners on applications, on applicable applications. So we continue to foster those relationships with those partners to make sure that we can advance applications in a timely manner. As an example, we work very closely with the TTC, and we're continuing to look at our individual review processes to make sure that they're cohesive and we can meet our overall timeline objectives, ultimately to get projects in the ground sooner.
Can I jump in with a couple of questions? I noticed that people have discovered the vote up button on the queues, and so there's a few that have been voted up, and this one in particular has got 9 votes. And thank you for your presentation. Are there plans to bring the tree protection and plan review group from Environment, Climate, and Forestry into Development Review Division, noting that tree review and permitting is a chronic development friction undermining the city's one voice approach to development review? That's the top question. I don't know who wants to take that.
I will start. So as of today, no, there are no plans to move that group into the Development Review Division. However, being a critical partner in the review process, we are meeting on a very regular basis with that group and with our other colleagues across the city to make sure that we can continue to streamline our processes and have a more coordinated approach to how we advance applications.
I got a couple more if I can. One of them that has 5 votes is, what is the current issue resolution model that is being updated? I didn't know there was a formal process other than appealing to the OLT.
So there is a process. I will ask Allison to jump in, but what it means is there was an existing model. It sort of fell, or not many people were using it after the pandemic. And we're finding that with me being in this role and it being a brand new role, many stakeholders go directly to me as opposed to working through our teams who you see across the screens here. So Allison and her team, as a companion tool to the new customer service charter, will be working with both internal and external clients to update that issues management or issues resolution model, pardon me. So Allison, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, just building on that, again, I would say, and we've heard this a few times, again, just we have contact lists online, but it really is, who do I go to when there is a challenge? It could be with a specific file, or it could be kind of a citywide issue that someone's experiencing. And as Melissa said, currently a lot of people are going directly to her. So this is really about, putting a clear protocol in place just to make issues resolution more sustainable. ongoing. There's a related question about what tools that will constitute. So again, in its most basic sense, there's, as Valessa said, as part of delivering the customer service charter, a clear kind of updated public facing document of like, if you have issues about these things, contact this person, and how to escalate. But more importantly, there's a lot of work internally as well, making sure that our systems for tracking issues and routing them to the right person at the right time and as efficiently as possible, that work is happening as part of that initiative as well.
Great. Another question now got 14 votes. No, it just went down to 13. Now it's back up to 14. One of the regular challenges on development applications is getting timely and coordinated comments from TW. I should know what TW is. What does that stand for?
Toronto Water.
Toronto Water, right. And when issues arise, it is not possible to connect with Toronto Water directly. Has there been any consideration about how Toronto Water can be better integrated into the development review? Recognizing they're not on this call, does anybody want to maybe take a crack at that question?
I will start. So development review is actually the first, I'll call it the first window into Toronto Water for development application matters. So Maria and Nat, who are our engineering experts here on the team, they represent Toronto Water. They try to manage water-related issues. And when they cannot, then they consult with Toronto Water directly and facilitate those discussions. We do recognize that we need to continue to streamline the approach internally in terms of how quickly Toronto Water gets involved. But all that to say, as part of the development review, the city recognized that this was a pain point for industry. And that's why our engineering teams are, I'll call it again, the initial window into Toronto Water. Nat, Maria, feel free to jump in and add any additional details.
Sure, thanks. Thank you, Valessa. So Maria and I are continuously in discussions with our colleagues in Toronto Water on this very issue. And we've been discussing how we can improve this area. One of the things that we had accomplished earlier this year was that our division had entered into a partnership agreement with Toronto Water, where the partnership agreement identifies the roles and responsibilities between ourselves and with our colleagues in Toronto Water on development-related application. It identifies when we need Toronto Water at the table with us and with the applicants and their consultants. The agreement also identifies a general framework for facilitating conflicts and issues resolution. So that was one thing that we had completed with them, and we're at the process. We're also now looking to develop new standard operating procedures on standard or common issues that come up during development review, so that the way to approach these issues is consistent across the city.
And I would just like to also add that as part of the partnership agreement and strengthening our relationship, it's also external and internal. And we do encourage you to come to us if there is any challenges, so we can identify them as issues that we can discuss with our partners.
Next question, maybe related, but what will you do to ensure different city divisions don't provide conflicting comments or requirements when reviewing I just lost the question, SBA or rezoning applications? And maybe just for the purposes of everybody in our audience, you'll tell us what SBA is. I think I know what that is.
Site plan agreements. So that's a great question. We're doing a number of things. So as we've mentioned, we are updating our standard operating procedures, and that will ensure that across districts, the way staff approach applications is consistent. We are also introducing a number of new technology tools to help our staff to operate more efficiently and to make their jobs easier, because it's no secret that our technology systems here at the city are very, very archaic. And a big part of us being able to provide a world-class service to you is for us to have the modern tools to be able to do so. I'll also ask my colleague, Michelle Driley, who oversees our process and technology team, to quickly tell you a little bit about our file circulation tool, which will help us to ensure a more cohesive city approach to applications.
Thanks, Melissa. Yes, so many of you will have heard of our file circulation tool. We call it FCT for short. Some of you may have participated in the pilot that we're running in Scarborough for our pre-application consultation process. And over the next couple of years, we're looking to roll out FCT for every single application type that we review. I think the main benefit of the FCT is that it enables us to establish standard commenting libraries, and it also enables us to establish standard condition libraries. And so these are, a standard set of comments that our commenting partners have agreed to. They're uploaded into our system, they're locked. And what you will see is that the review will become much more focused on what everybody agrees the scope of review for that application type is. And so, we hear a lot of commentary back from applicants related to comments they receive that are not within the scope of the instrument that's being reviewed, comments they receive that are very lengthy without any action orientation to them, etc. And often those types of comments result in conflicting comments from different commenting partners. So what we're really looking to do is establish those standard commenting libraries. The technology enables us to do that. And then it also provides, a cloud-based environment in real time where commenting partners can work together to comment on applications. Everybody can see each other's comments. Even just that visibility alone will enable us to come to a more hopefully streamlined set of comments that all agree with each other and are no longer in conflict when they go back out to the applicant. I think I'll leave it there, but if people have further questions about FCT, I can also speak more about the anticipated functionality.
Thank you, Michelle.
David wanted, oh, sorry. I saw David's hand up as well. I wonder if you want to.
Yeah, I think I just wanted to just chime in and say, from a real practical standpoint, our planners are the project managers for the files and the applications that are coming in. They have a responsibility to make sure that those comments that are going out the door are not having conflicting messages. And I'll give you a recent example that I've been dealing with where, different commenting groups were commenting on cycle lanes and whether or not we need them or we don't need them. And so, that was something that was flagged before the comments went out. The comments were pulled, and we are now internally working at a management level group to sort out the formal position before it goes out. So I think aside from all the improvements that we're making, there are obviously human elements and judgment calls that have to be made. And, the management team here have the responsibility of making sure that those comments are consistent. And then if we have to pull things back and have further discussions, that's why we've set up these various tables internally. Thank you.
Okay, I'll move to the next question. I think this has been broadly answered, but it is got the highest vote, so I'll ask it. What is the leadership team doing, saying, and modeling in terms of behavior to shift away from the culture of no that is defined in this questionnaires perspective and maybe some others, the development review in Toronto over the past decades? It's a broad culture question.
It is. Thanks, Richard. I would say we are very focused on troubleshooting, problem solving, collaboration, working with applicants. In many cases, if there's a file with a number of issues that need to be resolved, we will set up in-person issues, I call them problem solving sessions. So in person, we tell applicants, come meet with us, bring your experts, bring your technical experts. We'll have our our full team, let's sit down, let's discuss, and let's find a way to get to a yes. We also expect applicants to be reasonable as well in their approach. We need, the development review process is a two-way street. The city cannot say yes to everything, but we try to find solutions that are mutually acceptable, that comply with legislation, that ensure that we meet technical standards and guidelines. And ultimately, that takes precedence. And apart from that, I think the approach from this team here is to support our staff and hopefully work with applicants to find a way to get projects through. We are focused on city building. We realize that the city has really great policies like our official plan and other guiding documents, but policies don't build cities on their own. We need to work with city building partners like industry, and when I say industry, the private sector, the nonprofit sector, the Indigenous sector, and others to help us to realize our policy goals and get new housing within complete communities built fast.
Thank you. I'm going to try to squeeze in what isn't looking like a short answer, but maybe you can give me a short answer so we can wrap up on time. But it's a kind of question you hear a lot in various contexts. It's will this work, the work that you're referring to, be accompanied by a fulsome policy review? For example, forbidding garbage trucks from backing out of loading areas waste a huge amount of valuable ground floor area unnecessarily. And there's many examples of the like that you hear that dictate certain kinds of policy responses that aren't necessarily optimal for a modern city. Not a short answer, and I'm not sure that it's actually in your purview, but Melissa, do you want to maybe take a quick 1 minute crack at that question?
Sure. Well, you're right. It's not within our purview. But what we do here in development review is we continue to coordinate with our partners across the city, because that's just one example of a policy where there could be, or there should be, some flexibility in the way we look at applications. But all that to say, we are the group that's responsible for providing that continuous feedback to divisions across the city in terms of what's working, what's not working, and facilitate those discussions to enact policy changes where feasible.
And obviously, a lot of these are policies that are dictated by higher order government, particularly provincial
Absolutely.
building code and so forth. So, but these are questions that I think should be explored. I mean, there's a lot of them, and I think that ULI is a great platform to raise these questions. We're not an advocacy organization, but we are a place where conversations can happen, and I love that question as well. There are many other questions, and I want to quick put you on the spot, Valessa. If we were to gather up these questions that have come through and maybe submit them to you, do you think we could work with you to perhaps answer some of them in writing over the next month or so, and perhaps send these back to some of the folks who've dialed into this call?
That's an easy yes. In fact, we'll try to work with you to answer all questions.
Okay, great. That's amazing. And what also is amazing is this. This is an unprecedented kind of opportunity that you've opened up for us. I know you've said in the past that these aren't one-offs, that you'd like to have future opportunities like this to see, over time, are things improving? Are things changing? Are you hearing the feedback? Are you responding to the feedback? And I think that's something that is so deeply appreciated. So I want to thank all of you. I'm not going to name you all by name. There are too many. But I want to thank you all for being part of this on a Friday afternoon. Thank you for our folks who've attended, joined us, our members and non-members alike. I think we're going to hit a slide that just shows a couple of upcoming events, if I'm not mistaken, and we'll get you out on time. Here they are coming in. And what I'm going to suggest, actually, rather than going through these, because at 12:59, just suggesting to you all that you take a look at our website and your email box, which I know we fill up a lot, because there's some amazing events coming up that I think you would want to attend. So with that, have a happy weekend to you all. It's National Indigenous Truth and Reconciliation Day on Tuesday. So we want to acknowledge that and remind people that the Truth and Reconciliation and Indigenous Cultural Competency Training session that we have in mid-October, October 14th, is coming up. Something that we really commend you all to attend as we honor this important day in Canada. Thank you all.